What's up, y'all? Just wanted to talk about what a blessed morning. Um, just want to talk about a couple things, touch base on a couple things. Um, Damn. So I'm like wondering, you know, as I start to just dabble in, document my fitness journey. You know, Today I'm shaking up the rhythm of my training. At the same time, like, you know, thinking about like all the aspects of my life that would continue to help me prosper and help me gain what I want. And that's not so easy. Yeah, I'm super grateful. Every day is a blessing. You just get the chance to live it out. And most people don't see it that way. That's always the way I've been seeing it. So yesterday I talked about, you know, am I wise? Is this a wise decision to, you know, one of two things, in this, you know, new world we live in on the internet? Social media is a tool on the internet. And I think, that's what people fail to see. I think that, you know, do you go into a decision to find things out along the way? Or do you go into a decision knowing everything prior to making it? And, you know, that's just something I'm going to leave out there, in the forthcoming days. You know, there's so many like stigmas in the world, you know, people are holding me back. My family's holding me back. I feel insecure, judged, things like that. And most people take that, internalize it, and then come back out with it, you know, and that only doubles the problem. You know what I mean? Like someone has that problem, they take it in, and then come back out with the same problem for others. And that's just not the way I see, things. You know, you have one life, right? So what are you going to do? You're going to listen to others or you're going to listen to yourself. And that's something that's like a binary decision. It's one or the other. You can't have both. That's just who I am as a businessman. And speed matters in business because those who beat you to the decision will have the scorecard. They'll have not just the scorecard, but points on the scoreboard. They'll have the decision and the outcome is what it is. So speed matters. And, I think that like facing these challenges day to day, you see the good and the bad. So right there, I stop and I think. And that's where it comes down to when I mean, do you go into, this line of work and figure it out along the way, or do you know something? No, and then springboard into it. And that's just where my mind's at. It's gonna be there for God knows how long. But this is life, dude. Something I want to bring up, man. Damn, R.I.P. that dude. I think his name was Theo on the Cosby Show. Damn, R.I.P. bro. That shit crazy. Cause you know I'm at that age where day to day I see, there's death and life around me, and that's like, it's not metaphorical. It's not like some piece of art. It's just reality, bro. Like, life is a precious thing, you know? And most fail to see it that way. I don't take it for granted. Like, I'll continue to express this, and, in a way that is unique to me, I'm just super grateful. Day to day, I'm able to do what I want. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not in the position some are, which is like they have no other choices. They have no other options. And I'm fortunate enough to have options, choices. And that's just the bright side of my life, I'm super grateful for that. And it's been proven. It's tried and true for me. You know, I've been through things. I've I've been through things. I'll continue to go through things because that's just what life throws at you. And it's been proven through the things that I've been through that gratitude is a huge part of my life. One thing you can't say about me is, you know, he woke up, you know, you know, uh, feeling ungrateful. He didn't see the bright side today. And trust me, bro, that goes a long way, when it comes to seeing things like that, life and death every day. You know, Now it becomes something metaphoric when I say, like, the birth of a new idea, the birth of a new business, the birth of a new perspective, aspect of life that you see. Now it becomes metaphoric and, artistic. And, you know, I dive into both in my life, when it comes to music, it's art. And then, the reality where, I'm just a mere mortal out here, dude. Mortality is real. You know, One day, you know, God willing, I'm gonna cease to exist, but the things that I've left are the things that are gonna live forever. And, I don't wanna be here. It's like a weight on my shoulders that, like, I feel when I even think about this. And it's something that's like dead center in my mind, you know, thinking about, what if I didn't do this? What happens a decade from now? What happens if I didn't do this? You know, what happens a decade from now, making the decision to not do something that I feel is not just right, but is something that is, you know, um, like, very, it's very, like, one chance is what comes to mind right now. One chance you get to do this, and to think about the outcome of, like, what happens a decade from now. Per se, I didn't take that chance. And that's just something I roll around with. Not even I think about when it comes to making decisions, when it comes to living life. That's just something I roll around with. So maybe that's also something that is sprung or the origin of my gratitude. And I just don't want to dive into it that much because that shit creeps me the fuck out, bro. I'm like thinking and shit. I'm like, to not take that chance, or like, most people see that as like a meme. Like, what happens if you don't take that chance? Or like, you don't do what you want to do in life. Like I said, life is binary. You listen to others or you listen to yourself. And all those things that I just mentioned are part of what I want to talk about today, which is just like, can you stomach the judgment? Now, in the past, I'm notorious for like talking about this. But like I said, I've been through this in my life where, you know, I'm not, I'm here to learn in life, but I also carry what I've learned in life. I'm not here as that same youngster who's trying to find out, you know, what happens when I'm an adult? What happens, when I'm grown up? I've been through it, bro. And, to say that at such a young age, I'm 31 years old, is bold, and that's just how I'm going to roll through life because, I see a bunch of people out here, you know, it's unfortunate. I go into a state of like empathy is what it is. I feel for you. People going out here fronting is what it is. Saying, with their body language, with their attitude, with the things they spread into the community. I know this. I'm better than someone else. I know more than you. And you're never going to learn something in life if you roll around that way. So that's just something I've known my whole life innately, a sense in me. And that judgment, can you stomach it? In business, if you can't make a decision, like I said, you'll never have the result. And, thinking how you want to think is not just business. I love business. I went to school for it, but outside of school, I still do it. I still do what do you call it? Like, it's work, but to me, it's not work. You know what I'm saying? You buy and sell. Some would call that trading, which is something I don't even think about. I can talk about this all day. I can talk about business all day. Trading, the market, things like this. But things like this are so simple to me. I went to school for this, and what they teach in school is more so self-preservation, like purpose. There's, at one point, the education system used to teach this in a way that was analytical. They would analyze the market. They would analyze statistics. They would analyze college degrees, what you get out of school. And then they would, package it into something they'd market, something they'd make their finances off it, profit. And nowadays, it's like they're trying to feed you this thing, like it's like a feel, packaging you the same thing in a different way, like a feel. It's like all of this, back in the day would be like, this is something you have to do, very old school. And nowadays it's like the newer generation is like, you know, it's self-preservation, purpose, happiness. Can you stomach the, from for me at least, that's my thing. Like when I make content, you know, can you stomach the judgment? Can you do the, can you see the brighter things in life? And I myself have my own lane, doing things like this. Like, to me, you know, it's nothing, because, I enjoy this, and that's where I wanted to go with this. If you don't enjoy what you do, at the end of the day, you're going to stop, no matter what it is, if you don't enjoy it. So if you don't like something, it's like having a relationship. Like, I have a girlfriend, or, you know, if I don't like that girl, I'm going to stop. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that. So that's where I wanted to get today, is, do you enjoy what you do? Because if you enjoy what you do, then outside voices don't matter. So how can you get there? How can you get to a point where you're listening to yourself opposed to listening to others? And that's the answer I'm going to leave you with today. And I'm just going to go through my day, bounce through it. You enjoy what you do. So hopefully that'll resonate with some people, because, like I said, today, it's not just something, like I said, in the old days, it'd be like, your parents will tell you this, your aunts and uncles will tell you this, your family will tell you this, go to school, you know, they wouldn't tell you about go to school, get this job. Now, some still do that, but now it's like they're saying, are you happy with your life? It's packaged a lot differently. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's more so like, are you are you content with your life? You have to listen to yourself. Um you can't you can't listen nowadays, to what are outside forces. Um yeah, it's not a weird world we live in. You know, people are like, they get into a bunch of like theories about, like, this is a weird world to live in. You know what I'm saying? And then they give up because they're not just not enjoying life, they're crushed by its circumstances. It's like, you used to hear this. I used to, cuz I'm a millennial. So I've been through, like, what was the old times, like, just a little bit prior to, for me, 2000. And I would hear, like, go to school, this is business, this is music. And I would hear all these things, like it's a sale. You know what I'm saying? Like, business is buying and selling. Like, you're either gonna buy in to what they're selling. There it is. Like, the old school days, you're gonna buy into what they're selling. And nowadays, they package it for you. It's like, you know, are you happy with your life? Happiness is about, being grateful is about. They're using these things that are purpose based, self preservation based, to now sell, you know, in a way that they're trying to connect with the audience. You know what I'm saying? So it's not just the educational system. It's people it's people selling things that are now trying to connect with people. Those people back in the day that were trying to connect with people were deemed crazy. And nowadays, in my generation, seeing both the old school and the new school, it's the people who are selling, you know, the old school dream, these like things that are educated, that are now called crazy in the world. So you pick your poison how you want to approach this. because I'm coming from all angles, when I'm putting out content, when I'm like going through my day to day, you know, if you want to know how to enjoy life, you got to understand, you know. And one of those things to understand is that everyone has problems, bro. So you can have problems in business, you can have problems in your career, you can have problems in your personal life, you can have problems everywhere. But just know that everyone has problems, bro, no matter where it is. It doesn't have to be in your work. It can be in your personal life. It doesn't have to be in your personal life. It could be in your work. And you can see the way there's a structure in the way I'm speaking. It's not just thought through. It's very like one dimensional. You know what I'm saying? It's this and that and this. And between that crossroad, it's like, you know, it's in between that crossroad is where you'll find success, where you'll find happiness. I I'm still, in my endeavors, through creating content and building a structured business on social media, which is a tool off the internet. I've yet to find the avenue. You know, I don't feel that audacious, that in a rush to sell something, to build something that is built off education right now. I'm like just, you know, going about it the other way more so, not packaging it, you know what I'm saying? It's like I'm still I'm still I'm still enjoying where I'm at is what it is. And I think in that I found happiness, I found success, and to share those things to me, where, you know, remember, it's the old school and the new school, education and connecting with others. I'm like at a point where I'm still trying to connect with others. And like I said, most people will see connecting with others as results based and, like driven by selfish ambition. And, I go the other way. I'm whole hog the other way, where it's just like, you know, I have happiness and success, and I'm trying to share that vantage point. If I can share the perspective, you know, like something I have is, you know, the way I see life. And if I can share the perspective. So if you're buying the way I see life and, the perspective is something I'm selling you and it's coming from a place of this gratitude I have and this selflessness that I have, this happiness and success, then where does it lead to? And that's where I'm going to leave off today. I'm going to leave you there today to think about that.